Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Marshal of the Silesian Voivodeship Jakub Chełstowski, I would like to welcome all the participants of the business weekend. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought significant challenges to our lives. In these difficult times, we are all trying to overcome many problems. Thanks to modern technology, we can organize business meetings, conferences, and many other events, just like what we are doing now. This three-day event that is partially held at Arena Gliwice will focus on new technologies and innovations. During this business weekend, you will have the opportunity to take part in lectures by industry leaders, one-on-one business matchmaking, startup pitch competitions, competitions and discussions about challengers facing the corporate and international arenas, work alongside the world's leading artificial intelligence engineers and technology experts. Exchanging experiences, best practices and knowledge, as well as establishing new relationships, helps in business development. Events that offer space for such practices are now more important than ever. Although they cannot replace face-to-face business meetings with all the networking opportunities they offer, but they may be an excellent starting point to further cooperation in the future. The host and main partner of this event is the Marshal's Office of the Silesian Voivodeship and the Department of Economy and International Cooperation. The ambition of the voivodeship authorities is to build a region with a diverse, modern economic structure, relying on innovations and creativity of enterprises. For decades, heavy industry was the core of the regional economy. This is what gave this region its strength and shaped its tradition. However, Silesia is now in the middle of its transition to a modern and sustainable economy. This process requires the support of smart specializations such as medicine, ICT, energy industry, green economy, and emerging industries. Silesia is one of the economically strongest regions in Poland, with the best transport accessibility, well-developed infrastructure, as well as rich tradition and culture. All this makes the Silesian Voivodeship attractive for business. For many companies, not only Polish, but also with foreign capital, it is an excellent space for development, ICT, and the region, energy industry, green economy, and emerging industries. I wish you all Silesia is one of the economically strongest regions, the foundation for the future to implement joint projects. Good luck, and I look forward to the day when we can meet together in person again.
The first speaker, our expert, which say a few words about voivodeship, especially for the position of transformation challenges, what we have now, not only because of the COVID, but also because of other aspects which we need to take care, for example, about investors, and the point of view from the administration, public administration. So I want to ask Mrs. Aleksandra Monsiol-Szatkowska from Silesia Voivodeship, director for especially dedicated for us. Director, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Tomek. Thank you for giving me the floor. My name is Aleksandra Monsiol-Szatkowska, and I am in charge of Economy and International Cooperation Department in Marshal Office of Silesian Voivodeship. I hope my presentation will be switched on by someone. I would like to today give you some briefly presentation about our region, especially in terms of its investment attractiveness. Thank you. And also in terms of its economic indicators. As Mr. Bańka said about the transformation, it will be also the subject, but maybe later on in my presentation. So Silesia region operates at the very heart of the European economy, also because of its excellent location. So as you can see on the map of Europe, within approximately distance of 600 kilometers away from Katowice, we reach 6 European capitals. So we have Warsaw, Berlin, Prague, Vienna, Bratislava, Budapest. This is something that distinguishes us, our great location on the map of Europe. Silesia also consists of 4 sub-regions and 167 municipalities. Silesia is one of the smallest regions in Poland, as you can see, but in terms of population, we are the second in Poland. We have 4.6 million people living here. What is more, within approximately distance of 100 kilometers, we have access to 8.5 million people living in this area. In terms of population density, we have the highest in Poland. So as you can see, the indicator for Silesia is 370 people per square kilometer. So this is very high in terms of population density, because the approximately number for European Union is just about 114. 77% of population live in the city. So this is really a great number, but still Silesia is a very green region. 40% of the surface of Katowice is covered by forests. And some facts and figures about investment attractiveness. So as you can see, we have qualified employees and great human potential. We can say that we have great talent pool with unique competences. We are the second largest selling market in Poland. We have large number of foreign companies operating in the region and regional SMEs. We have more than 40 universities and 120,000 students. And we have very large number of universities operating, for instance, in technology, medicine, art, economy, and many others. The great part of the students attend technical courses, but we also really struggle for vocational training. And as you can see, we have also high concentration of developed investment land and office spaces. And according to the Collier's report, latest report, we are at the first position in Poland in terms of office spaces. We have also the best infrastructure in Poland in terms of motorways that are actually crossing our region. And in terms of railway infrastructure, we realize more than 50% of Polish infrastructure and activities. We have also our own regional airport, Katowice Airport, and this is the first airport in Poland in terms of cargo shipping. We have also the efficient ecosystem of cooperation between local government and science and businesses, and we have also the high level of business tourism and culture offer, but it will be elaborated later on in another presentation. So in terms of economic indicators, as you can see, we generate more than 12% of total Polish gross domestic product. We are the strongest economy in Poland, and in terms of services is approximately 60%, and when it comes to the industry, it's approximately 55%. We also generate, what is very important, 12% from R&D activities. We have 500,000 SMEs in the region, and our region generates more than 13% of total national export. We are the strongest exporting region in Poland. Our main export destination, obviously, our neighbors like Germany, France, Czech Republic, but during the last years, we developed the export to Eastern countries, and Thomas Diagonen knows that we really struggle to export, to help our SMEs to export and to scale the activities worldwide. So our region, as the first in the country, launched its own regional strategy of innovation that pushed our regional economy in terms of high-tech development. So as you can see, the smart specialization are IT, medicine, energy sector, green economy, and emerging industries. So IT, I can say that over 40% of our students attended technical courses. This fact helped the sector to develop and expand. We have very well-educated people in this area, especially IT engineers. They work for global companies, but also they develop their own businesses, and I can say that they develop these businesses with success. Medicine is also something that distinguishes us here, especially in terms of oncology and heart diseases. Energy sector is a strategic economic pillar of the region, but also the area of creating, testing, and implementing high technology, for instance, hydrogen technologies. Green economy, so solution related to efficient use of resources, and emerging industry, for instance, these days is semiconductors, e-mobility, nanotechnology design, fintech, esports, artificial intelligence, and many, many others. But we have main sectors that are developing now. For sure, it's automotive. Automotive sector is very important. We are the main manufacturer of cars and cars component in this part of Europe. We are also very strong at logistics because of our great location. Obviously, we have a great number of companies operating in logistics. We have also terminal in Sławków that allows transportation of goods to Far East. And yes, business process outsourcing. This is also something that we are very strong at. I think that you know that Poland is just behind India, the strongest provider in this sector. We have 20,000 employees working in this sector only in Katowice, and people working from BPO and SSC centers speak 25 different languages. This is very, very important for our investors that we have this huge talent pool in terms of languages skill. Our real estate market is one of the strongest in Poland. We observe a huge demand from our investor in terms of office spaces. 500,000 square meters office spaces are already done in Katowice, and we expect to have additional 220,000 under construction next year. And yes, and to finalize my presentation, I would like to just give you a brief information that Silesia is also the region of greatest events. And since 2015, the region developed its offer for my sector with success. In 2018, we had COP24. And since 2013, we organized the final of Intel Extreme Master each year. And finally, in 2022, we expect to hold 11th World Urban Forum. So it will be also the great event that will be held in Katowice. And yes, to finalize my presentation, I would like to invite you to watch short movie about our transformation process, because yes, as Tomek said, we foreseen to develop our best competences to get more and more investors to the region, but also to help our local regional SMEs to scale. So please, can somebody help me to? Okay. And I wish you a very good day.
Znamy naszą przeszłość, a znając ją, uczymy się na niej budować rzeczy współczesne. Sięgamy po wsparcie designu i wsparcie nauki, które wspólnymi siłami pozwalają nam oddać fragmenty naszej przeszłości ludziom. Znamy naszą przeszłość, bo tylko znając ją, możemy nauczyć się budować przyszłość. Taką, która jest bliżej człowieka i w której człowiek jest bliżej natury. Śląskie.
Okay, so I think that you know that this is also about the green change. So we want to change. We want to see our region develop in terms of technology, but also to green technology. So I wish you a very good day. Hope you see you today or later on in our event. So for the moment, I would like to thank you and pass the floor to Tomek.
More about it, I want to ask Mr. Marcin Wilk, the president of Silesian Fund, which say a few words from where we can get the money and how we can get the money, which he can give us. Mr. President, can we connect with you?
Hello guys, my name is Marcin Wilk, representing Silesian Development Fund. I'm with you today from my home. If you will see and hear my dogs and my daughters, you know that we are live. First of all, thank you very much for today's opportunity to be with you. And today I tell you a few words about the VC market in Europe during the pandemic, but I will tell you about the basics of a successful startup. Let's go. The SARS-CoV-19 pandemic, which forced European countries to introduce a number of mitigating measures, caused a serious economic shock on European and world markets, especially in the first 2 quarters of 2020. The economic crisis was primarily affected by lockdown. For example, restrictions of the freedom of movement, the need to work remotely, like you see, absences due to sickness of employees or their family members, closure of schools and companies, reduced demand for certain goods and services, and reduced investment. This shock was also amplified by financial markets and global trade links, which spilled over to other segments of the economy. Contrary to the global financial crisis, the crisis caused by the SARS-CoV-19 pandemic was not caused by imbalance in the structure of financial system, but with a new critical situation with unpredictable consequences at the time. The economic consequences of the mitigating measures introduced in relation to the SARS-CoV-19 pandemic were primarily affected by sectors that were heavily dependent on social interactions. The freezing of part of the economy hit virtually all industries. The first so-called lockdown, introduced in early 2020, sparked massive business misinformation, causing fear of deterioration in economic activity to fewer aversion to risk, resulting in a sell-off of stocks, commodities, bonds, and currencies. At the beginning of 2020, the negative effects of the SARS-CoV-19 pandemic also affected the activities of private equity and venture capital. These markets are a key part of the European investment ecosystem, creating jobs across the continent. Research carried out, for example, by the European Investment Fund just before after March 2020, suggested that VC investment volumes will decline by 16% in 2020. At the beginning of the year, even venture capital investors themselves were rather skeptical about the impact of the SARS-CoV-19 pandemic on investments. describing SARS-CoV-19 as Black Swan of 2020 and claiming that the global VC market is completely closed. Is that true? Fortunately, the presented forecast for the VC market in the later part of 2020 turned out to be wrong. The latest research as of October 2020 shows that venture capital investments in Europe reached a record in the third quarter of 2020. New record investments were made among others in Germany, Israel, and the Scandinavian countries. Investments were made in various sectors, amounting to over $100 million in total, and mainly related to such industries as fintech, technological innovation, medicine discovery, processes automatization, entertainment, and health diagnostics. One of the most popular business portals dealing with the subject of venture capital, it's Sifted EU, published an article in which also confirms the increase in VC investments in the third quarter of 2020. It is speculated that the end result of 2020 for VC may be better than 2020. Of course, we'll see what happened. But for example, the PitchBook report stated that despite the economic recession, the dramatic rise in unemployment in many different sectors, and the many mitigation measures announced by almost all European countries, the value of venture capital deals and activity did not really reflect the impact of COVID-19. There is also a large increase in VC investments in the pharmaceutical industry, where pharmacy and biotechnology reach about 20% of VC investments in the first 9 months of 2020. The increase was probably due to the current SARS-CoV-19 pandemic. These markets totaled £5.3 billion in terms of capital exits in the third quarter of the year. It is worth mentioning, for example, the German company CureVac, which is working on the vaccine on the SARS-CoV-19, in which a lot of money has been invested. It is worth adding that exits from VC investments until the third quarter of 2020 remained at a low level, and predict that 2020 will be the lowest year in the terms of exit since 2019. I'm talking about exits, not about investment. A study, for example, by Gumpers of 1,000 institutional of corporate VC investors and 900 VC companies, examining how the SARS-CoV-19 pandemic influenced their decisions and investments, show that it had a clear impact. VCs slowed down the pace of investment and spent time running their portfolio companies. Moreover, the survey showed that 10% of VC investors felt negatively impacted by the portfolio companies. However, the majority, it's at 52%, reported a positive or no pandemic impact on their companies. The remainder, 38%, were negatively affected but are doing well overall. The study also found that the SARS-CoV-19 pandemic had less of an impact on the VC industry than many other industries in the global economy. VC activists in 2020 proved to be immune to the SARS-CoV-19 pandemic. This time was a test for startups. This time was a test for venture capital investors, where it was checked how they manage during a crisis. How will this affect in your project? How to be successful? It's a very important question now. What are the most important reasons why startups achieve success? Is this also possible in a pandemic? According to the Pareto rule 2080, you know it very well, I hope. It refers to a situation in which a small group of factors is responsible for 80% reactions in a given situation. For example, when 20% of products generate 80% of the company's profits, or when 20% of our skills are responsible for 80% of our success. What are the success factors? What does it mean? Perhaps it is worth analyzing them, especially during a pandemic. Cool data about that and on this subject is provided by, for example, Idea Lab, which has studied over 100 companies around the world to see what influenced their success or failure. Let's look at the data in terms of 5 factors. It's a very similar factors which we use in our fund to talk with founders and to find the solution how we need to work with founders and startups. First from that 5 factors are idea. Does the company offer a revolutionary, interesting, and original idea? Second, team. Does the company have the right team that can implement the idea? Respond is very important to customer needs and solve emerging problems. Third, it's a business model. Does the company have an idea how to monetize its service once it becomes popular? Another, financing. Has the company received enough fund and that stage of the project and development? And last, timing. The moment when the product was introduced to the market. Was he too early and unable to find clients, or was he too late and the competition was too strong? What do you think is the most important success factor? How privately you bet you will very surprised by the answer. Timing is the most important. It is the main reason for the success over 40% of startups, and a little less because 35% of success is the team. There are few examples of companies for which the timing of market entry was deceived. On the one hand, these, for example, are R&B and Uber, which appeared on the market during the recession. I hope you remember that. When people needed extra money and were ready to make some concession, for example, share their assets, like an apartment or a car. On the other hand, there was, for example, Z.com. It's more than 15 years ago, which was supposed to be a large entertainment platform. A lot of money was put into it, but due to low technology and at the time, few people with access to the internet had a spectacular failure. But just 2 years later, YouTube appeared, and today is the biggest and the best at what it does. Essence and conclusions from me. Often companies pay much less attention to the end user than they should. I suspect that in many cases, those companies that failed did not previously research the needs of users, their ways of using available solutions, and the reasons for satisfaction. A look at the end user needs will completely revolutionize your product, and you will only achieve it with a great team. So take care of people and take care of yourself. It's all from me for now, and I wish you a very, very good day and great next session. And if you will have any question to me to that part, which I represented to you, I stay with you, and excellent session for you. Thank you very much. And Tomasz.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. That was really great. Thank you for your presentation, and absolutely, I'm agreed that what you already told, that the team is the most important and timing is the most important. So to be in the right place in the right time. So that's why we are here, in fact. I'm not sure that if only me, I have so bad hearing you on the beginning, but then everything was okay. So as you can hear, everyone, Mr. President Marcin Wilk is able to help us to develop our companies if we are talking about the future and development, in fact, but also about especially about the money. So if you have only some needs, ask him for help, and he will help you for sure. And if somebody think about the future, about everyone has in our mind that future is computerization. And if you are talking about computerization, the first thing is artificial intelligence. And I do not know better expert of this field than Mr. Łukasz Borowiecki. He's an expert on the AI sector of the Digital Poland Foundation. So, Mr. Borowiecki, the floor is yours.
Good. So, do you hear me? Do you see my presentation? If that's fine, then I'll move on.
Yeah, we can see everything is okay.
Okay. So, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me and having me here. I'll talk about the AI ecosystem in Poland. However, just to at the beginning, just to start. Let me tell briefly about the Digital Poland Foundation. So our goal is to make Poland one of the leading global digital innovation hubs. And that's the dream, that's the goal. It's something we work on every day. We are independent from the government, so we are funded by big companies such as Ringer, Axel Springer, Microsoft, and Visa. Okay, let me move on with the presentation. Okay, so that's the graphic representation of the AI companies in Poland. It's something we did at the beginning of 2019. We found close to 300 companies, and we did a survey among them just to know more what is going on. And out of these 300, about one in two replied us. So we had 150 replies. And yeah, that's first of all, it turns out that while there are some companies that did AI already in the 90s, it seems a few years that there is a clear boom. And in the 2 years before the survey, so 2017 and 2018, half of companies that were offering some kind of AI were founded or added it to their portfolio. In terms of location, AI is something that is done in big cities. So 85% of these companies are located in 6 major Polish agglomerations. Warsaw has some lead here. However, there are also many teams in Katowice and generally Silesia region. There are many also in Kraków, Wrocław, Poznań, and Gdańsk. So 6 major agglomerations in Poland. In terms of how much money do they get from AI, 36% get most of their money from AI, so we could call them AI only. Others have AI as a part of a portfolio, and we see that 21% at that time did not get any revenue from AI, which should not be surprising given that so many of these companies were so young. In terms of how much money they get from abroad from projects from AI, 1 in 3 gets most of the money from abroad, and actually most of these companies get some sort of money or contracts from clients from abroad. Only 27% rely solely on Polish clients, and it's good. It tells us that these companies are capable of faring well on global markets, and they are competitive against competition from, let's say, other parts of or other countries in Europe or other parts of the world. What we found is they say that actually there are two major issues with that they see obstacles in implementing AI. First of all, 41% say that their clients, just potential clients, they don't understand the technology, and they don't know what benefits AI could give them. And another thing is they tell that clients do not have the data needed to build models, so they cannot implement AI. And because of these two, what we do at Digital Pond Foundation is we support various events and activities that would raise the awareness of AI among non-technical people. And the other thing is we support various actions that would push more accessibility of data, such as, for example, open data or data trusts. In terms of sectors where they provide their services, it's not a surprise that number one is analytics, big data, and business intelligence. Second one, sales, marketing, advertisement. Also, it's the internet. However, we see that there is number three is fintech and insurance tech. So it's something that many companies in Poland do. So various kind of services in terms of payments or transactions. And especially interesting for me is the number four, because Internet of Things and Industry 4.0, it has many of them do services in this area, and this should not be a surprise given the fact that Polish economy has a very high share of GDP that is produced in manufacturing or industry. The numbers are similar as in Germany. So especially here in Silesia, so where there are many mining companies, much heavy industry. So many of these AI companies rely on that there is know-how within the country, and there are potential clients or partners, and they push into this avenue of Internet of Things. As for business models, these companies either do software as a service, so they offer various kind of, let's say, platforms, or they operate as a software house. They provide manpower, outsourcing, or body leasing. And the software house aspect, it's something very noticeable in Poland, and it has its impact as we'll see. As for the size of AI team, most of them have a few guys, just up to 5 people. However, we already see that there are companies, it's 15% of our sample, that have 20 people or more. So this is already a considerable team that can produce some advanced technologies. We also wanted to know more about what is going on in terms of the specialists that operate on the market. And it turns out that 1 in 3 people doing AI in Poland have some kind of degree from a Western university. Mostly it's USA. However, there's also Germany and UK, and it's good. The fact that they seek these degrees and use the availability of various kinds of mobility like Erasmus and other programs, it's good. This tells us that they have contact with their peers in other countries. They discuss research, they discuss technologies. So there's this transfer of technology and know-how, which allows specialists in Poland to be at the cutting edge of technology. In terms of distribution by sector, it's not a surprise that number one is software and IT services, both in Poland and in other European countries. However, we see that in Poland, 58% of AI specialists work in software and IT services, while in the EU it's only 40%. And this should not be a surprise because historically many Polish IT companies developed as subcontractors for Western companies. And so a Polish AI specialist is far more likely to work in a software house when he works under a contract, for a contract for another entity. And this has its impact in terms of the soft skills. So when it comes to leadership, Polish people and Polish AI specialists and those from the EU have similar, but when it comes to teaching, communication, or learning, we see that there is a gap. So it tells us that something about the profile of a Polish AI person. So he's much more into technical aspects of AI, and it's just because he works in a software house when he has to develop code. And this we think that this is something that will change in the years to come when the GDP levels will rise and in Poland, and there will be more products with and services with more added value. We also wanted to know more about the academic side of AI. So together with OPI, it's an institute in Poland, we went through a query of publications. We were looking for keywords such as machine learning, artificial intelligence, signal processing, natural language processing. And it turns out that 1,500 people on computer science departments published 5,000 papers, and 5,000 people from other branches of science published additional 7,000 papers. And when we look at the regional distribution of this, we see that it's either Warsaw in central Poland, or it's Silesia with Katowice and actually Krakow nearby. So these are two engines of academic life, major engines of academic life in terms of AI in Poland. So we also provide numbers on how many of these researchers operate on various universities and various departments. It's all this can be downloaded from our website. However, what I just want to pinpoint is that two major faculties that had the most researchers are Faculty of Electronics and Information Technology at the Warsaw University of Technology, and the second one is Faculty of Automatic Control Electronics and Computer Science here in Silesia, in Gliwice at Silesian University of Technology. Both of them had 150 people who published any kind of paper around AI. Also, there are many scientific societies. So some of them date back to the 1990s, like Polish Neural Network Society, which was founded in 95, so a quarter century ago. However, with the recent boom in AI, we see that more have been founded. And also, 2 years ago, 5 major ones decided to form a joint coalition, the Polish Initiative for the Advancement of Artificial Intelligence. It's not a new society, it's an umbrella organization whose goal is to coordinate the efforts done in various universities or various cities, and also to speak with one voice with the rest of the world. So, as such, it should not surprise us that, given the vibrancy at the universities, that half of these AI companies have at least one PhD in their AI team, and there are some who have let's say more than that, and 5 or more PhDs in their AI team. Also, there is strong cooperation with the scientific community. So among these AI companies, most have some sort of cooperation with the academia. So 43% employ some researchers from academia. Others cooperate with a team or cooperate with an individual. Actually, only 27%, so 1 in 4, openly say they do not run any kind of cooperation with a university. And this is good, because this tells us that there is this transfer of knowledge and of ideas between the research, so the cutting edge of technology, and the implementation, so the companies. It's the way it should be done. There are many conferences. So some are focused on the research. Some are more focused on the implementation side. There are others which are tailored more to students or particular technologies. Nonetheless, there are many of those, and actually each month there is something going on, and there's a place where people meet, discuss AI, and where you can find like-minded people. And this has very much a grassroots character. So there's much going on that people want to meet, people want to discuss. The community is very vibrant. Okay, so let me finish with a pitch why doing AI in Poland is actually a good idea. Basically, there is we have human resources. So each year, 15,000 people graduate from computer science departments here in Poland, and many more graduate more generally from STEM fields. There is strong scientific community, as I just showed you. The specialists are of exceptional quality. So according to HackerRank or the Google Code Jam or the International Olympiad Informatics, so they provide rankings, and according to any of the three, Poland ranks either number 3 or number 4 in the world. So up there with China or Russia with their mathematical geniuses, we are there. Cultural fit. Poland is very much unlike other Northern European countries. Maybe there were some differences before. However, today, among those 20-year-olds who do AI, they are very much unlike their German friends from Germany or Sweden, whom they know and with whom they spend their time. So there is, if you invest in Poland, you can expect to have similar culture, very much like in, let's say, Sweden. And there are tax incentives. So there's a preferential 5% tax rate for regarding intellectual property. There are various ways of deducing R&D as a cost. So actually, the tax system is very preferential towards investing in R&D in Poland. And the heavies are already here. So, for example, Amazon, the Alexa from Amazon speaks with a voice that is developed in Gdańsk. It's a startup, Iwona, that we all in Poland know. So at one point in time, it was bought by Amazon, and now it's incorporated into Alexa. Intel and NVIDIA, they have their R&D centers doing deep learning in Poland. TomTom or Aptiv have large teams that are focused particularly on developing technologies for self-driving cars. Ericsson runs the largest R&D center outside of Sweden here in Poland, and they have teams that do AI. Also Samsung, the same story. They have the largest team. Samsung has the largest team outside of Korea here in Poland, and they have a large team that is focused particularly on natural language processing. So the big companies are already there. and for a reason that they know the quality of the specialists is good. There is a set of institutions that support the development of AI in Poland. So there is the Center for Financing Pure Research, another one that finances R&D and implementations, and other institutes that focus on particular technologies. We are also there. We are not related to government. However, we do our work on promoting AI and supporting the community. In September, we had our AI strategy was presented, and it's an interesting document, and it assumes that there will be created a few additional bodies that would focus on developing AI in Poland. Some of the institutions or bodies were already there because of the ongoing digital transformation. However, we'll have a few that are new. First of all, there will be a coordinating committee focused on AI in the government. There will be a body focused on legal aspects and ethics of AI. Another one focused on formally coordinating the work done in various universities regarding AI. And also one focused on the overlap between AI and labor market. So what will be the effect of changes of AI on the labor market and how to counteract it. So we think that this set of bodies and institutions is a good choice, and it will help us moving forward with developing AI in Poland. Okay, and let me conclude with saying that Silesia is a nice spot for investing and doing AI in Poland. It's the largest agglomeration in Poland, so there are many cities here which are nearby. However, jointly, it's about 3.5 million people, of course, depending on how you count. There are several universities, and one interesting aspect is that there's this particular mix of heavy industry, so mining, trains, etc., but also various kinds of manufacturing, and also service economy. And this is a very important thing in terms of AI, because the most interesting things in terms of AI happen when two, let's say, disciplines or two sectors overlap. So the fact that we have much manufacturing in Silesia, many companies building machines or providing elements for these machines, so much engineering, it allows us to, it gives us much know-how and many specialists who can translate computations and AI into, let's say, applications that they can use in their sector. So the fact that Silesia has such diverse economy is a very good spot for investing in AI. So that's why this large pool of human capital is very interesting here in Silesia. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Borowiecki. It was great presentation. Thank you for this knowledge. It's absolutely amazing. I didn't know that we are so strong in AI. So thank you for interesting presentation. Amazing statistics, in fact, because I wasn't sure. I didn't know even that so many people are currently involved in AI in Poland, and that gives us a hope that we will not stay behind other countries. And as Łukasz pointed out, we have strong human resources, strong science preparation, and above all, know-how. So that's really great information for us. Thank you very much. One more time, we'll get a question after all presentation. So thank you for this. Mm-hmm. Now I would like to share with you. We would like to share with you the knowledge about the potential of our region through the prism of the city of Gliwice. And then after that, we want to also say a few words about the cooperation between the good sample of cooperation between a waste management company from Gliwice and university, especially because it's Silesian University of Technology, and that's makes me really happy because I'm a member of the council of the Silesian University of Technology. So it's good information for me. So I will show you a few movies, and then I would like to ask Professor Anna Chrobok, Mr. Professor Krzysztof Gaska, and Mrs. President Magda Budny from Waste Management Company, and Mr. Professor are representing today Silesian University of Technology. So if I can ask for turn on the movies, and we'll be in touch later.
Serdecznie pragnę przywitać wszystkich uczestników wydarzenia Skyhacks Business Weekend w Gliwicach. Szanowni Państwo, impreza miała odbyć się w nowoczesnej hali widowiskowo-sportowej, arenie Gliwice, hali, która jest w stanie przyjąć, gościć 15 000 uczestników. Niestety panująca pandemia wymusiła, że wydarzenie musi odbyć się w formule zdalnej za pomocą łączy internetowych. Tym niemniej bardzo gorąco Państwa zapraszam do wzięcia udziału. Bardzo gorące podziękowania należą się organizatorom tej imprezy za wytrwałość i determinację, za skuteczne zachęcenie Państwa do wzięcia w niej udziału. Bardzo się cieszę, że wydarzenia typu hackatony informatyczne w Gliwicach coraz częściej się odbywają w naszym mieście. Informatyka, jej praktyczne zastosowania są bardzo istotnym elementem strategii miasta Gliwice. Strategia rozwoju miasta Gliwice opiera się bowiem na działalności firm działających w branży nowoczesnych technologii, firm IT i czerpaniu z dobrodziejstw nowoczesnej nauki. Przede wszystkim nauki Politechniki Śląskiej, dużej i znamienitej uczelni w Gliwicach. Szanowni Państwo, już blisko 30 lat temu postawiliśmy na rozwój nowoczesności w Gliwicach. Udziału bardzo gorące podziękowania należą się organizatorom tej imprezy za wytrwałość i determinację, za skuteczne zachęcenie Państwa do wzięcia w niej udziału. Bardzo się cieszę, że wydarzenia typu hackatony informatyczne w Gliwicach coraz częściej się odbywają w naszym mieście. Informatyka, jej praktyczne zastosowania są bardzo istotnym elementem strategii miasta Gliwice. Strategia rozwoju miasta Gliwice opiera się bowiem na działalności firm działających w branży nowoczesnych technologii, firm IT i czerpaniu z dobrodziejstw nowoczesnej nauki. Przede wszystkim nauki Politechniki Śląskiej, dużej i znamienitej uczelni w Gliwicach. Szanowni Państwo, już blisko 30 lat temu postawiliśmy na rozwój nowoczesności w Gliwicach. Powołaliśmy specjalną strefę ekonomiczną na czele z koncernem motoryzacyjnym General Motors z zakładami Opla, które stały się kołem zamachowej gliwickiej gospodarki. Następnym projektem w dziedzinie nowych technologii był projekt Nowe Gliwice. W zrewitalizowanych budynkach po nieczynnej kopalni węgla kamiennego zorganizowaliśmy strefę przedsiębiorczości i rozwoju. Strefę, gdzie dzisiaj działają liczne firmy branży IT. Na obrzeżach Gliwickiej Politechniki działa Technopark. Spółka będąca siedzibą młodych, nowoczesnych start-upów, które czerpią z kapitału ludzkiego wywodzącego się z Politechniki Śląskiej. Coraz nowocześniejsze są gliwickie firmy komunalne. Dwie z nich, Śląskie Sieci Metropolitalne i Przedsiębiorstwo Zagospodarowania Odpadów są sponsorami dzisiejszego wydarzenia. Śląskie Sieci Metropolitalne to firma wspomagająca działalność miasta w najnowocześniejszych dziedzinach, zajmująca się takimi obszarami jak monitoring miasta, inteligentne sterowanie ruchem ulicznym, usługi w zakresie data center czy helpdesk. Przedsiębiorstwo Zagospodarowania Odpadów działające na rynku odpadów komunalnych skutecznie wdraża nowoczesne rozwiązania, współpracując z Politechniką Śląską. Ostatnio stara się o dofinansowania z Narodowego Centrum Badań i Rozwoju. Szanowni Państwo, bardzo serdecznie zapraszam do Gliwic, bardzo serdecznie zapraszam na jak najlepsze spędzenie tego najbliższego weekendu.